Thanks for listening to Mueller, She Wrote. The she in Mueller, She Wrote is no accident. Did you know we are 100% women-owned and operated? Every single person that helps make this podcast possible identifies as a woman. Our creative and web design, our engineer and producers, our editors and digital media manager, our agent, our ad execs, our merchandising manager, and even the postal service clerk that helps me with shipping in our P.O. box. All women and all LGBTQ plus allies. We will continue to employ and partner with women as our podcast grows, but we could use your help. Please support women in podcasting by visiting MuellerSheWrote.com and become a patron today.
So to be clear, Mr. Trump has no financial relationships with any Russian oligarchs.
That's what he said. That's what I said. That's obviously what our position is.
I'm not aware of any of those activities. I have been called a surrogate at a time or two in that campaign, and I not have communications with the Russians.
What do I have to get involved with Putin for? I have nothing to do with Putin. I've never spoken to him. I don't know anything about him other than he will respect me. Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing.
So, it is political. You're a communist.
No, Mr. Green. Communism is just a red herring. Like all members of the oldest profession, I'm a capitalist.
Hello, and welcome to Mueller, She Wrote. I'm your anonymous host, AG. With me, as always, is Jaleesa Johnson.
Hello.
And Jordan Coburn.
Hello.
What a crazy week.
Yes.
First, thank you to everyone who came out to the live show. We had such an amazing time. Our next public appearance will be next week when we'll be walking around Comic-Con here in San Diego, and then in October at Politicon. So many cons. So little time.
So many pros.
So that's going to be in LA on October 20th and 21st, I believe. So we hope to see some friendly faces. How are you guys?
I'm great.
Feeling real energized from our live show. That was so fun.
Insane.
Wasn't it?
So fun.
Yeah, our fans are the best fans ever.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone else.
Mm-hmm. It was amazing meeting them. Favorite part by far.
Yeah, that meet and greet afterwards was pretty great.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just to see, just to put faces and people with, the people we see online all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have a great show lined up. Jaleesa is going to give us an update on Broidy, her boyfriend, and Jordan is going to bring us up to speed on the NRA and their role in the Russia probe. I'm going to be talking about Michael Cohen. But before we dive into the news, I have a correction from last week. I meant to say Murkowski, not McCaskill. I had just gotten off a 17-hour travel day of an 80-hour work week, and I was delusional, and I apologize. I know it's not McCaskill. Sorry, McCaskill, if you got a bunch of calls. I'm glad you got to talk to some of your constituents. I'm sorry if they were unusually angry with you, since you're a Democrat and would not have voted for Trump's SCOTUS pick anyway. But, just in case, shoring up the support there. That was my call to action, to get them to block the SCOTUS pick. Because it makes no sense that he can pick a judge that will likely be deciding whether or not he has to honor a Mueller subpoena. Anyway, sorry if you got those calls. I also wanted to give a shout out to Bust Magazine for doing a write-up on us. Truly incredible women over there. We appreciate the support. So check out Bust Magazine at bust.com. They're doing wonderful things for women in media.
Yeah, that was an awesome article.
It was super, super nice of them to do that for us, and we really appreciate it. All right, you guys, we had some wins this week in the news. Ooh. So let's get into it with just the facts. Okay, so there was a ton of news last week, and it started over the weekend, which is rude. It's supposed to wait until Monday, so I can have some rest. But last Saturday, a federal judge barred evidence sharing with Putin's chef in the Mueller probe, saying there is, quote, ample cause that identifying sources in the probe could tip off Russian intelligence and other foreign services to ongoing investigations, and it could help Russia in their future efforts to interfere in our elections. Mueller filed a motion after Concord Management, that's the Russian entity, requested pretty much every single counterintelligence operation documentation from the United States going back to 1945 in 51 different categories. And one of the indicted Russians is Prigozhin, and that's Putin's chef, right? He's also a sanctioned Russian oligarch, so that's good news. He's the Emeril Lagasse of
it's
Russia.
Something in the food.
Bam.
Makes so much sense.
How do you say bam in Russian?
Oh, that's how you poison everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Polonium.
Yeah.
We also learned over the weekend that Mueller is looking into pro-Brexit rich guys and their contacts with Trump campaign operatives. And the Washington Post named Aaron Banks specifically, who met with the Russian ambassador. The Russia probe. He met with the Russian ambassador to London in August of 2016. A lot of shit went down in August of 2016. And a week later, he traveled to Mississippi to attend a fundraiser that Steve Bannon invited him to. This is the Aaron Banks guy. It's also reported that along with Aaron Banks, Mueller is looking into Nigel Farage. He's the leader of UKIP, which is the UK Independence Party. They're a prominent figure in the Brexit campaign. And 2 witnesses have said they were asked about Farage's relationship to Trump associates when they were interviewed by the Mueller probe. So,
Aaron Banks sound like someone that would be broke.
Aaron Banks sounds like someone who would be broke?
Tyra Banks is rich.
Air in Banks.
Oh.
Get it? It's a little wordplay for you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
No, I'm sorry.
it's a little early for puns, Jordan.
Oh, man.
Air in Banks. I get it. I see where you're going.
Sorry, I'll wait till we're deeper into the episode.
All right, let's just have a coffee break and then we'll discuss puns. All right. So also, Michael Flynn. Remember that guy?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's got a hearing set for July 10th. After Mueller asked for another 60-day extension on his sentencing. The judge said Flynn needed to be there for it, so we'll see how that hearing goes. My guess is it will be the prosecution explaining that they still need Flynn and they still want to be able to dangle that sentencing over him to solicit his continued cooperation. And I think the judge will probably agree. But she did call, for, I think it's, for in a minute order that there was going to be a hearing on the 10th and that Flynn needed to be present. So we'll see what happens.
Do you know what happens if they go there and then they decide to not grant that extension? Then they wouldn't just carry on with the sentencing right then, right? They'd reconvene or maybe.
Well, I think the sentencing is scheduled for. I'd have to look it up. I don't know. You know what? Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder.
I don't know what happens. I doubt they would say, because this is just a hearing. It's not a sentencing hearing, but they would probably say you have to start preparing pre-sentencing now.
Got it. Yeah, that
and
makes
then there's
sense.
probably a bunch of shit you have to go through to do the sentencing anyway. So I'm sure that Mueller could legally buy more time somehow by filing other motions in the pre-sentencing appeal or situation or whatever. I'm not a lawyer. People think I'm a lawyer. I'm sorry, I'm not.
Because of
lawyers hit us
AG,
up.
the Attorney General.
I know people think I'm the AG. No. I can't tell you what it stands for, but it's not AG. We also learned that Broidy stopped making payments to Shira. So she's the Playboy playmate that Cohen negotiated a $1.6 million payoff with for an abortion and a cover-up, hush money. I think he stopped paying for her because he didn't do it. And Trump was supposed to be giving Broidy the money to pay her off and just hasn't given it to him yet. That sounds like something Trump would do.
Oh, totally.
And I didn't read this anywhere. This is just what I think. I think Trump was like, dude, take the fall for me. Take the fall. And he's like, okay, man, but you got to give me the money. And he's like, I will. Don't worry. I'm a man of my word. And then he just never gave him the money. So I think Broidy stopped paying. Put some beans on that if you want. That's just conjecture.
I wonder if they thought they could just slowly fade into the background if they stopped paying.
Like Homer in the Shrubs.
Because this was never a thing.
But at the end of the week, she ended up suing Broidy, and Jaleesa is going to go over that for us in detail later in the show.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. The Senate Intel Committee released some preliminary findings and determined in a nice bipartisan decision that the intelligence community's report about Russian interference was correct. They basically broke it down piece by piece and said, yep, we agree. And then here's the next part. Yep, we agree. So they determined that Russia did interfere in our elections. They determined that they did so on behalf of Donald Trump, and they determined that they did so to hurt and disfranchise the Hillary campaign. They also confirmed the findings that the IC report did not say the Russians had no effect on the outcome of the election, as Trump claims. Remember when that report came out and he was like, oh, look, the Russian interference didn't have any effect on the election. I'm totally validated.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we never said that. And they're saying it again. No, they never said that.
Yeah, he'd be the worst person to write Spark Notes books.
Oh, my goodness.
You're totally right.
It'd just be so wrong. So basically.
Did you hear that part of his speech this week when he had his rally? He said, here's the best thing. He said, I have broken more Elton John records. He seems to have a lot of records. And I, by the way, I don't have a musical instrument. I don't have a guitar or an organ. No organ. Elton has an organ. And lots of other people helping. No, we've broken a lot of records. We've broken virtually every record because, look, I only need this space. They need much more room. For basketball, for hockey, and all of the sports, they need a lot of room. We don't need it. We have people in that space. So we break all these records. Really, we do it without, the musical instruments. This is the only musical, the mouth. And hopefully the brain attached to the mouth, right? The brain, more important than the mouth, is the brain. The brain is much more important.
Oh my God. That's our president of the United States of America.
I wish we had that at the live show for the game of, is this an actual Trump quote or not? Because
yeah. Well, next round, next time.
Zach did a good job, though, reading that real Trump. Nobody got it right.
I know. Yeah.
The predictive text.
Yeah.
We should get together and do something for the law.
That's a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing.
We should do a thing for the law.
He just chooses to emphasize the weirdest things, like he had an organ. An organ.
Yeah.
Why that?
The mouth.
The mouth attached to the brain.
It's very important.
The brain.
It is attached to the brain.
I mean, I don't even know where to begin with that anatomy. I'm just gonna...
Technically, the mouth is attached to the brain.
True.
Yeah, he did get that right.
Yeah.
Fact
so
check.
there is that. I mean, there's no mouth nerve, like an optic nerve or anything.
Right.
It's there. I'm sure it's somehow attached.
Yeah.
Because when my brain thinks words that come out of my mouth,
Yeah.
so they must be attached somehow.
Fun fact, that's called the Wernicke's area.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Yes.
I knew that and forgot.
Yeah.
Good job.
Very
you.
nice.
Wernicke.
That was back before I smoked pot when I learned that fact.
Yeah, but you retained it, so good job.
Nice.
We'll have to tweet Trump. Hey, that mouth-brain connection, it's Wernicke's area. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Is this what our reviewer on iTunes meant about us being toddlers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe.
They must.
Oh, well.
Yeah, we got a reviewer that said that we're toddlers, and his name is Kevin Loves Uranus.
Yeah.
The glass house, buddy.
I'm betting he's a troll. He's got to be, right? That's
Pot in the fucking anus, dude. With pot calling the anus black right there. Don't even go there.
That's great.
Anus. All right, so I like a good Uranus pun as much as the next person, but then don't call me a toddler. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So remember last week? You guys remember last week when we reported that journalists were staking out Mueller's office, and they saw Rosenstein go in with another DOJ official, and then when they asked him after they came out, they said, "Oh, we come here every other week, and we've been doing it for a while, even though no one had ever seen them go in there on a regular basis."
Right.
Well, that other DOJ official that was with Rosenstein was the ADAG, the Associate Deputy Attorney General Schools, and he resigned this week, and nobody knows why.
Right.
But he's the guy who went into the office with Rosenstein. Into Mueller's office.
Related to his resignation, perhaps?
I don't know. But I think it has something to do with the New York field office leak investigation. But hopefully we'll find out. But he left. I know Strzok was removed from the FBI building. I'm going to talk about Strzok a little bit later because he's going to be testifying in an open hearing this week. He testified behind closed doors for 11 hours last week, and the Republicans are refusing to release that transcript.
Amazing.
Yeah, I know.
They're like, it's so reasonable. We can't let people read this.
That's really weird that you hate him and you want to show everybody what a biased son of a bitch he is, but you won't release the transcripts of his interview. I was kind of hoping that there was somebody in the judiciary, maybe Swalwell or something, that would just release him unilaterally the way Feinstein did.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, come on, Swalls. Also, this week, another win for us, Jim Jordan is fucked. This week, 5 people, and now I think there's a 6th, have come forward and said that Jim Jordan knew about sexual abuse allegations on his watch as an assistant coach at Ohio State University for the wrestling department, and he failed to report it. Interestingly, I got to have a conversation with @Funder this week. That's Scott Dworkin. Here is an excerpt of that conversation. Hello, today we're joined by the co-founder of the Dem Coalition and a contributor to MSNBC that helped uncover the Trump-Russia scandal. Please welcome the host of the Dworkin Report podcast, Scott Dworkin. How are you today, Scott?
Doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing really well. Thank you very much for asking. I had a great holiday week.
Yeah, it was really nice that Pruitt resigned, especially.
Yeah, that was a very nice bonus. We had a couple of wins this week. I wanted to ask you today about what is going on with Rep. Jim Jordan. We know that we here, at least on this podcast, we played some of the clips from the public interview with the House Judiciary Committee where Jim Jordan pretty much got his ass handed to him by Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein, which was fun to watch. But apparently he's in a little bit of hot water. I was hoping you could tell us about that.
Yeah, so I can tell you first. We did announce it already, but we moved the date of it. Just as an FYI, we're filing an ethics complaint. We can file ethics complaints on things that members of Congress did before they were in Congress that were unethical. So we are going to highlight that in a legal filing on Monday. But what happened is allegedly right now there's 5 credible people who were sexually abused at Ohio State while Representative Jim Jordan was a coach there. And all of them say, he knew about it and did nothing. It looks like there's going to be another 10 to 15 guys that come forward and say the same thing. Wow. So I don't see how he survives this. Now, what's even crazier is he spent the time now, he started to change his story. He said that, that was talk in a locker room. There were no people who really came up with me. So he's starting to break from that. He even last night said that, he tried to link it to the dossier. And it just was, it's like, the same law firm that represents some of these people, it's one of the bigger law firms in the world, is attacking me, and they were involved with the dossier. And
I saw that. That was the Fox News report where he was talking about Perkins Coie.
Right. It's just like, okay, well, that's not gonna hold any water. But they're trying their best to do everything they can, and then they have a bunch of Trump cronies trying to defend him. But the bottom line here is, there does seem to be good cause for him to no longer be in Congress, besides everything else he's done, in his lifetime. But it really is. I think that he knew, and I think that he's caught, and I think that he's going to have to resign within the next week.
Okay. Next week. You're predicting within a week.
I would say that based on, we have a big campaign for the Supreme Court coming up, but we are going to have a very focused campaign in the next 48 hours on his resignation and bringing that to light and making sure that Speaker Ryan either calls for it or on top of an ethics investigation. And I really don't think that they're going to want him to keep, stay around longer.
Yeah, I can't imagine it would be good for their chances in November. Not that really anything they do is, but right. I think they probably want to, can this before it gets too close to the election.
Right. And I think they will. I think this is one of the worst, sexual abuse related cases that we've seen a member of Congress embroiled in before.
Yeah, and specifically because he's, I believe, as an assistant coach there, a mandated reporter. So regardless if it's quote unquote locker room talk, he was required by law, I'm pretty sure, to report that.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, and he did not, and he basically acknowledged that by saying locker room talk. He's acknowledging the fact that he knew, and that's enough for me. Again, this is not. There's a lot of guys that, and I've spoken to some off the record, but there's a lot of guys that were wrestlers that their lives were ruined from that instance, and they begged for help. It was not as simple as somebody just coming up to him, but we're talking about groups of young men coming up to Jordan and asking him to help them. And he just refused. It was more along the lines of like, well, let's see how we can, fix this internally and that sort of stuff. So the same old jargon that we hear from other universities, sort of like Paterno and others. And he should serve the same fate.
Yeah, they do that in the military too, which is something I personally experienced. They just like to kind of brush it under the rug so they don't get a black eye on the organization.
Right, exactly. And I think that this links back to one bigger picture, is that the people that, all the people that are accusing Mueller, of things, the Patriot, turn out to be these criminals, and no one should be surprised. This is who they are.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a surprise for anyone. It shouldn't be a surprise for anyone when someone who's accused of something or someone who's trying to cover something up goes after the prosecution. That's pretty typical.
Right. No, it's just an unfortunate incident. I really hope that he comes to his senses and realizes that it makes Congress look bad entirely, even if he's innocent of everything. It's too much of a distraction for him to be in Congress under this kind of probe, and it really is a liability on everybody in Congress and in the United States of America. It makes America look bad as well, and it's not just if it were a simple. Even if it were just one, that's enough. You know what I mean? Like and these are credible witnesses, 4 of them with their names attached to it. You know what I mean? And so it's not as simple as like, oh, one guy made this claim. It's 5 guys and counting, and it's just going to expand from there. It's just going to get worse. So they can stick it out, but we're just going to get louder about calling for his resignation.
Yeah, it is definitely not a workable or tenable situation for him. You're right, even if he is 100% innocent, which it doesn't seem so at this time, but of course I'll give him his day in court. But the Democrats learned that with the Al Franken situation. So, that's the correct and proper way to go about these kind of things when they pop up.
Right, and if there's a defense and it's very clear at the beginning and it needs to be played out, that's one thing. But if there's witness after witness that starts the slow drip of, basically linking someone to the sex abuse scandal, they should focus on that and only that and focus on the defense, and they should not be representing the United States of America at that point.
Yeah, unfortunately, this administration seems to be very sympathetic to abusers, misogynists, sexual assaulters, and rapists, as shown time and time again with the staff that they surround themselves with and hire and protect. Right. No, and they had that one guy, I can't even remember his name now, but Rob Porter, he beat both of his ex-wives. He was dating Hope Hicks at the time, and they actually covered that up and hid that and refused to not hire him because of that. Yeah, and now we've got then we have Roy Moore, and now we've got this guy Shine, who they're bringing on. He was drummed out of Fox for his sexual abuse allegations. Right, and then Oklahoma, their chair there got arrested and convicted of pedophilia. That's right. And the head of the Republican Party in Oklahoma, right? That's correct. And there was another guy that just resigned, a state rep in Ohio, I believe, but a senior guy in the Republican Party there that also resigned amid sexual abuse allegations as well. Yeah, it's kind of tough to parade around as the party of morality when you're locking up children and, your sexual offenders, your sexual predators. Right. Right. Now, I think Trump is okay with it because if he keeps these folks around, they don't focus on the fact that he's a serial sexual predator that's, again, credibly accused by 21 women and counting of, rape, sexual assault, groping, unwanted touching and things like that, propositions and payoffs and the thing that you and I both know and that most Americans probably can assume is that this is all going to get worse. As you see the scandals coming out of the White House and as you see everything starting to build right now, these scandals are just the tip of, many icebergs. And it's just going to get worse. And we see it, in this disorganization that they have of a White House. You can see the example of this morning of, North Korea saying they're trying to make us get rid of our nukes unilaterally. And it's like all of a sudden they painted us as the villain, and they did it very well. And they made Pompeo look like a joke. And they're doing the same thing in Russia. We had 8 Republicans over there on July 4th. Like, you don't think that was obviously intentional in regards to the Kremlin? And Putin didn't even meet with them. Kim Jong-un didn't even meet with Pompeo. I mean, it's starting to add up as, okay, this is a really great propaganda campaign against the United States. Yeah, well, I think you probably agree that I think Trump was played from the beginning. Oh, yeah. In both of those situations, both North Korea and Russia. I think the Russia con is a long con, a little longer of a con than Kim Jong-un, but yeah, he seems to certainly have gotten played on that one. Yeah, I think the North Korea thing is completely linked to Putin. I think that those are 2 of his oligarchs that got together,
Trump and Kim Jong Un. Because Un wouldn't have survived a lot of this if he didn't get oil from Russia shipped over around sanctions from the UN, and Russia's biggest supporter, and it's the same thing for Iran and Syria, and so it's kind of like this axis of evil that Trump's involved with in our World War III, which started online. So it's just going to get crazier from here. But I think that the tolerance of the American people, they're getting sick of this, especially, coming with elections coming up so soon. I don't think that people are going to forget what's happening right now.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, you guys. We've been talking to Scott Dworkin. Check out the Dworkin Report podcast. It's amazing. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts. He's a co-founder of the Dem Coalition, and you heard it here first. He's filing an ethics complaint against Jim Jordan. So thank you very much for your time. We really appreciated it, and have a great rest of your week.
Cheers. Thanks so much. I'm a big fan of the show.
Thanks so much. All right, you guys, please check out his podcast, The Dworkin Report, wherever you get your pods. He's just such a cool guy for coming on and giving us that little exclusive piece of information about him filing the ethics violation complaint. Yeah, that's great. I'm so happy that he could join us. Anyway,
yeah, that's awesome.
Wednesday we had a civil war. We would like to thank everyone for participating.
Thanks for your service.
I think it went very well. The South lost again. It's just they're 0-2 now. So they have to go home because it's a best of 2 or 3 round robin. So now they actually have to leave. It's best 2 out of 3.
It's only fair.
Yeah.
I wonder if Alex Jones actually had to pretend like he was worried, or if he just got to kick back and enjoy his 4th of July.
I'm sure he got to kick back. And I think he said, and there are people who are on the left that are friends with him, and I can't remember specifically who.
Joe Rogan.
That's right.
He counts as left. I don't know.
He's probably not. But yeah he was saying that he's completely just acting. He's just an actor, and he's just playing a character, and he doesn't believe any of the shit he says. But he's making millions of dollars off people buying his fake supplements and stuff. It's hilarious. And I loved when John Oliver punked him for it.
Is this Joe Rogan we're talking about?
We're talking about Alex Jones.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't know if Joe does supplements. That sounded like him.
Yeah, that would be something he'd do.
It would, although his might actually work.
Yeah, good point. I see now.
We learned Thursday that Mueller has tapped prosecutors from the Department of Justice to help with the ballooning number of legal battles. It appears that he and his team of 17 prosecutors, the OG 17, are coping with a higher than expected volume of work, because the investigation just keeps ballooning, expanding, right? And there's no way that he's going to be able to ask for any funds from Congress to hire more lawyers, right? They're never going to say yes. So he's borrowing them from the government. Good on you. Next time you're arguing with a Trump supporter online, thank them for paying Mueller's team's salaries and then ghost them. It's super fun.
Oh, man, they're not going to like that.
I also like to thank them for paying for transgender confirmation surgery for our active duty soldiers, men and women in the military. So thank you for paying for those with your tax dollars. We appreciate it. They get really mad.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
And then I say, well, my taxes go to a bunch of shit I don't want to pay for, so suck it.
Pretty sure Viagra, right? Am I wrong?
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah, they provide. There was like
government funding for
government funding for Viagra.
Yeah, well, that's important though, because a lot of the soldiers come back with combat PTS and they have erectile dysfunction because of depression.
Yes,
secondarily caused by depression.
Yes,
but yes, we do pay like 10 times more for Viagra than it costs to do gender confirmation surgery.
Right. Yeah. That's what that's what I was going to say. Is that it's like so much more money is spent on the Viagra than like women's and trans.
Yeah.
I'm happy to pay for dick pills for our service members as long as we pay for everything that everybody needs for their health.
That's awesome.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying. And that's all Mattis thinks too. I think Mattis and the Joint Chiefs are on board with that. I think it's just Trump that's being
no one wants to take the dick pills away.
No.
Just want to.
We all benefit from dick pills.
Yeah. It's a better world.
Most of us, yeah. Then Thursday, we all benefit from dick pills. It doesn't matter where you. I'm kidding. I don't know. Thursday, Cohen hired a guy named Lanny Davis. He's a former Clinton White House lawyer. And he's also a guy who believes, as we do, that the FBI field office in New York, along with Giuliani, Prince, and DeGeneva, pretty much blackmailed Comey into reopening the Clinton email investigation, possibly handing the election to Trump, right? So I know that a lot of you want to blame Comey, but you're going to start wanting to blame the New York field office FBI agents for that because they're the catalysts for that. Mm-hmm. And they're Trump supporters. There was also news out this week that Brian Benczkowski is being nominated to lead the Department of Justice Criminal Division. And we reported on this nomination in episode 11, you guys. That was like the second or third week in January. And, the confirmation vote is coming up this week. And I'm pretty sure he'll get confirmed, despite having represented Russia's Alpha Bank, which is the initial server that was communicating with the Trump campaign.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because nothing matters anymore.
And Alpha Bank was named in the dossier, and they are under criminal investigation. Senator Dick Durbin tweeted that he thinks this confirmation could be pivotal in the Russia investigation. So we'll see how it goes. I think that the SCOTUS pick and this could both really kind of make it difficult.
Yeah.
Make Mueller's life a little harder.
I do feel like every week something pivotal happens. It must suck to be Mueller. Oh, God. Pivoting all over the place.
I think he's ready for it. I really do.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was ready for... well, you know what? With the Kennedy resignation, he might have known all that way ahead of time because he's been investigating Kennedy's son probably in the Deutsche Bank.
Yeah.
$1 billion loan to Trump.
Yeah.
So he probably knew all along that either Kennedy was going to have to resign or recuse himself. And there are people who are speculating he resigned so he wouldn't have to recuse himself and leave a split court to decide his son's fate.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I don't know. We'll see how it all shakes out.
Yeah, I don't like it, and it seems like it's sort of undermining justice.
I don't like it.
You know?
I don't like it.
I don't like it.
Yeah, it's like you should just recuse yourself then and not play fucking games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just recuse. And honestly, I think that if he picks this other Supreme Court justice and they have to decide whether or not he has to comply with a subpoena, that person will probably have to recuse themselves anyway.
Oh, good point.
I don't know, maybe.
Beans. Sorry.
Some beans.
It's been abbreviated, shortened.
Beans. Then Friday. Oh, no, wait. This is good. This is so cool. We got another big win this week. The U.S. Attorney in D.C. dismissed all the remaining mass arrest cases from Inauguration Day protests.
Hey.
They'd been unable to secure any convictions, so they dismissed the remaining 38 cases that were on the docket.
They were still going. Wow.
That's how long shit takes, man.
Damn.
Yeah. Diana was just agreeing.
Everyone was, everyone fell silent.
Sorry.
And I was agreeing. Then Friday, Manafort filed for a venue change from Alexandria to Roanoke in one of the many cases he's being, well, one of two. Half of his cases. He filed for a venue change because he says Alexandria is too liberal. This is the Ellis case. Remember Judge Ellis?
Right.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Ellis, he could grant him the change of venue, but I don't think so. But either way, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. It was like when he would have to prove that he is egregiously hurt by the bias in that area in order to move.
Right.
So, for example, when the Oklahoma City bomber was being tried, they moved it, asked for a change of venue from Oklahoma City.
Right.
And they were like, okay, yeah, fair. You just bombed the shit out of that city. You're probably not going to get a fair trial there. Mm-hmm. So they moved it to Denver. He was still going to go down. The evidence against him is insane. So
but in that case, yeah.
If he does get the change of venue, I wouldn't worry at all.
Yeah.
Because first of all, he doesn't understand how building juries work.
I was just going to say,
you don't
that's
pick
not
it based
his
on
job to like.
But you also don't pick them based on the voting districts. They're pissed. They're pissed based on judicial districts.
Right.
And so people are brought into Alexandria from surrounding counties, which are pretty rural. So, I mean, he's dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also like he's essentially asking if he can rule out 50% of the country as a geographical location.
I bet they would all love that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I guess Alexandria went for Hillary for like 70-30, and then Roanoke, where he wants to go, went for Trump like 68-32 or something like that.
Right. But yeah, that's the process of picking a jury to make one that like they got it, Manafort.
Mm-hmm. And it's not like the news, because he's pissed about the media leaks about his case, and it's not like it just leaked to Alexandria. The whole country got a hold of that information, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know where you're gonna go.
Right.
And it's not detrimental to your case anyway. So I don't think Ellis will grant him that.
Yeah, I trust him.
We'll see. Yeah, he's a little over the top, but he's come down on the right side already on several other issues.
Nice.
Something that did come out, though, is they will be accusing Manafort of squid pro quo when he accepted a $16 million loan from Koch. Remember Koch?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
In exchange for a White House job.
How could I forget?
That's bank fraud, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
And probably conspiracy or something. I don't know. But that is part of that case. They did make a mention that we aren't doing any Russian collusion crimes in this case, which is hilarious because that seems to me like, oh, we'll get there, just not today.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like, why would you say that? We're not going to do the murder charges here.
Yeah.
There's murder charges? No, not here.
Not here. Nothing to see here.
Don't look over here.
Yeah, I mean, the implications for some of the things he's going to get charged with absolutely have ties to Russia. So maybe just saying we're going to stop there.
Yeah, that's a good point. Here's the Peter Strzok story I was telling you about. He testified behind closed doors for 11 hours last week. Republicans don't want those transcripts released. Wonder why. But he will be testifying publicly this Thursday at 10 a.m. before the Oversight and Judiciary Committees. That means Jim Jordan will be there. And I think any question Jim Jordan asks should just be met with, why do you let a guy fondle kids? Just every time. Why do you keep redacting information? Why'd you let a guy touch a kid's dick in front of me? Mm-hmm. Bye.
Nothing can top that.
Oh, podcasts are playing piano. Last week they played the A Train somehow perfectly.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't know.
Got to catch them at the right time.
Yeah. I heard if you put a bunch of monkeys in a room with typewriters, eventually they'll type Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm. Or a Kanye album. I don't know. It depends on which meme you're
I
looking
want
at.
to point out that
was Jaleesa.
Jaleesa said that.
That was Jaleesa.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay, no emails.
They know my voice.
In case you're just tuning in.
Don't need a Roseanne situation here.
There you go. Yeah.
Definitely don't. But that was pretty hilarious. I'm not even going to laugh at that because I am not allowed to do that. But it's not personal. It's just emails. Anyway, you guys, that's the news this week. So we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Kelly.
And I'm Sophie. We're two broads talking politics. We're two Midwestern moms who love politics.
We've always been Democrats, but we got more politically active after the 2016 debacle.
On our episodes, we talk to activists and candidates and authors and directors of nonprofits.
To help us all figure out, where do we go from here?
Check us out at twobroadstalkingpolitics.com.
Or anywhere podcasts are found.
All right, welcome back. Hot notes.
Welcome back.
Today, Jordan is going to give us some good news on the NRA story we've been following for a while now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Since January, since Wyden started writing those letters, I think.
Yep.
But first, Jaleesa, what is your boy Broidy up to these days?
Oh, yeah. So I read this article from The Hill called GOP Mega Donor Will Stop Hush Money Payments to Mistress by Justin Wise. And the GOP mega donor that he's talking about is my boyfriend, of course, Elliot Broidy. And I guess that means he cheated on me. But in his defense, he never agreed to date me. So as many of us know, Broidy is a top GOP fundraiser who made payments to an ex-mistress who signed a hush money agreement that was created by Michael Cohen. And Broidy also recently stepped down from his position as finance chairman of the RNC amidst rumors of this payment. We all know that. But on Sunday, it was revealed by the Wall Street Journal that the model's name is it Shara Bashard?
I call her Shira just because I like Shira in the 80s.
I heard the Young Turks call her Shara, but Shara. Bashard.
Sharona.
Yeah, Sharona. We can all agree. We know who we're talking about.
Yep.
So Shira agreed to take $1.6 million to keep quiet about the fact that she became pregnant during she and Broidy's alleged affair, which lasted more than it. I love it. I want the drinking game to continue. I only have juice with me right now. It's probably best. It's like 11 a.m.
If you're wondering what that's about, during our live show, we set up a rule that if anybody said Trump, you had to drink, and the audience would call us out on it. So if you're listening to that live episode and you just hear all of a sudden the whole audience goes, drink, that's why.
Yes, go listen to the live episode. So he was prepared, Broidy, to make payments in 8 different installments starting in 2017, and these payments stopped last week. So Broidy has reportedly not paid the 3rd installment of $200,000 because of an alleged breach of the non-disclosure agreement. So Broidy's lawyer, Chris Clark, told the Wall Street Journal that Bouchard's lawyer, Keith Davidson, improperly discussed the details of the arrangement with Michael Avenatti. He just makes his way into everything. I love it, though. I love it. So Broidy's lawyer said, quote, Elliott specifically was paying for confidentiality that would shield his family from the embarrassing mistake he made. We can prove there was an intentional breach that renders the contract null and void, end quote. So a spokesperson for Bouchard's lawyer denied the allegations, and Avenatti said that he would neither confirm nor deny, quote, what information I have about this, whether it's all been disclosed yet, or whether I learned it. But I would encourage Ms. Bouchard to disclose everything she knows about the situation to the public, end quote. So yeah, that's the update on that. Broidy is, probably... I don't know about flipping, but he's definitely not interested in taking the fall, it seems, anymore. And that could be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the other option is that he did it and Keith Davidson effed it up, talked to Avenatti, and broke the non-disclosure agreement, which is what he's paying $1.6 million for.
Right, just for mentioning it at all, even if it is the truth. You're right, it could go a lot of different ways. But
the odds that he slept with a Playboy Playmate are pretty low. And not because this isn't a look-shaming thing. This is a pattern of behavior thing. He's never done that before.
You're right.
And Trump's done it a mazillion times.
With the same lawyer involved, right?
Same lawyers. And
2 out of 3 times.
And the NDA that was used by Trump using Trump's
the same
alias.
pseudonym. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So... yeah, anyone with eyes and a brain connected to the mouth would know that this is likely a cover-up. So.
Yeah, if your Wernicke's area is malfunctioning, you might not understand what's happening here, even though that doesn't have anything to do with understanding. Anyway.
Well, that's that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, of course.
Good reporting,
Disgusting.
always.
Thank you.
On the Broidy updates.
Oh, yeah.
Jordan, what do you have for us on the Gun Bros?
Yeah, so Monday of last week, this was after we recorded, so it's coming out now in this episode. Monday of last week, we learned that Mueller's team likely has secretly gained access to the NRA's tax returns as part of the investigation, which is exciting news, and NRA keeps coming out saying, we haven't been contacted by the FBI. But that's not typical in the first place. People aren't going to contact the organization and ask for their literal tax documents. They go to the IRS and they get them. So legal teams all around basically are just saying it's very likely that they just went directly to the IRS. And for background, the NRA spent $30 million in support of Trump's campaign in the 2016 race. And the thing that is awesome about them getting those tax documents is they'll be able to see the names of the dark money donors that we've talked about.
Mm-hmm. Right, because it's a requirement to be a 501c3 that you report those to the IRS, though because you're a 501c3, you're protected from having to report them to the public. But, but the IRS has to know where they're coming from.
Absolutely.
And I guarantee you it's just a ton of shell companies.
Right. Yeah, and so we know that we have... the NRA is saying in April they came out and said in total from the 23 Russia-linked individuals that have contributed to their organization, it's only amounted to $2,500.
Right, in dues.
Right, right, only in dues, exactly. Nothing that's like set aside for their political funds or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, you're short.
Absolutely, just
you're
a
like
little
29,999,000. 997.50 short.
Right.
So we're going to need you to...
This also brings back around the name Alexander Torshin, as we have reported on previously, who's one of the sanctioned Russian officials that basically he toted around saying that he had a tie to Donald Trump through the NRA. He said that. So it's like... kind of put a target on your back, buddy.
Yeah, don't use my words against me.
Yeah, exactly. NRA's general counsel, John Fraser, however, said in the April disclosure that Torshin has not made additional contributions beyond his dues as a member of the organization. Then he later says that the NRA now is reviewing their responsibilities with respect to Alexander Torshin after he was hit with the sanctions from the Treasury Department. And the reporters have reached out to NRA, and they have not really given back any comment. So I guess we'll just circle back around when we learn more about that, because I would be very surprised if we don't learn about. I mean, I don't know if the public would get the names for a decent amount of time. Probably not.
It depends. If if it comes out in, like, if we do the thing where Mueller goes and asks Rosenstein to indict, and Rosenstein says no, he'll write a full report to Congress, and that would mean that we would have it in 10 seconds. Because Congress is a leak machine, as we know.
A leak machine. Wow. Yeah, and people from Trump's campaign have totally, been connected with the Russia NRA, group. So, like, Donald Trump Jr. had dinner over there.
We have the torsion thing. We have the right to bear arms with Butina.
Right to bear arms.
Right to bear arms.
Bear cops, unrelated, actually.
Yeah, their weird affinity towards arms, even though Russia is, like, not an arms-heavy country.
They're actually very anti-gun.
Right.
Oh. All right, well.
So we'll see. We'll put some beans on it.
We will. NRA beans, gun beans. And it's...
Just BB guns.
Yes. Yeah. And it's buckshot. It's funny that, I mean, this NRA chase has been going on for a while, and it's awesome to think that Mueller's known the whole time. Because Wyden wrote letters back and forth with them several times, and the Treasury Department several times, trying to get the information, and they're like, no, and he doesn't have subpoena power because he's number two. He's the minority.
Right.
And so he can't subpoena those records from the IRS, but Mueller can go get them. So,
nice.
Because that's a criminal investigation, and he doesn't have to. The IRS and Mueller do not have to inform the NRA that they're getting them. So he's probably had them this whole time. All right, you guys, that brings us to the Michael Cohen portion of our show.
Informer, you know, say that I'm a stormy, I go blam. I like you boom boom down.
So Monday, Cohen had an interview with George Stephanopoulos. He sat down with him for about 45 minutes. It wasn't televised, or even it wasn't even released in audio format. It was written down, okay? And when you release a transcript interview like George Stephanopoulos did for this, it's important to note what is intentionally left in the interview. There were a few questions that Cohen said he could not answer. I'm unable to answer that question at this time based on my legal advice, right? But they left those in the interview. Specifically, they asked him if Trump knew about the Trump Tower meeting before it happened, and if Trump directed Cohen to make the Stormy Daniels hush money payment. And Cohen said, I'm unable to answer those questions. And instead of leaving them out of the interview in written form, they left them in.
Right.
Which indicates to me that Cohen knows that information, and he's willing to share it with prosecutors. And he wanted to get that word out, whether it was to try to get Trump to pay his legal bills and pardon him, or whether it was try to just give a hint about what he knows, and that he's, reaching out saying, please make a deal with me. I know these two things.
Pretty smart. I mean, desperate, but smart.
Well, yeah, and I wouldn't call him smart. I would call his new lawyer, Petrillo, the smart one. I know a lot of you think he's not going to flip. He's just signaling Trump for money to pay his bills. But I have to tell you, mentioning his family and his country again, removing Trump's name from all of his online social media bios, changing lawyers, and then cutting communications with Trump's legal team are all pretty big hints. Plus, I got to speak with a guy named David Bayerwald and his friend Hillary, who had a conversation with Cohen on the 4th of July. They ran into him twice in one night. You might have seen this conversation because it went viral on Twitter and Facebook. And here's a little bit of the call I had with them. I'll tell you that David Bayerwald is a musician, probably best known for writing Come What May, which is the theme song, the love theme for Moulin Rouge, nominated for a Golden Globe for that. So let's listen to this conversation that he had with Cohen. So today on the phone, we have David Bayerwald. He's a New York musician, and his friend Hillary Bratton. She was visiting from Palo Alto, California, here on the Best Coast. And they were in New York, and I think something very peculiar happened to them on the 4th of July. David, how are you today?
Terrific.
Wonderful. Hillary, are you there as well?
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm dying to hear about this encounter that you had. This was last night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
About 10 o'clock.
Tell us about it.
Well, it was actually two things. Hillary's staying at the Lowe's Regency on Park Avenue, and we were going out to dinner or something. Anyway, and Hillary goes, "Hey, look, there's Michael Cohen," and
on the street on Park.
Just on the street with a couple of people, with three people, and we kind of exchanged eye contact somehow, but we didn't talk at that point. And we went off and did our thing, and they went off and did their thing. And then 2.5 hours later, we ran into him again. And so Hillary and I say, well,
Camel followed them.
Yeah, I mean, the first, once is strange, but, whatever. Twice is like, you should do something about it. So I said, I beg your pardon. And he looked around and sort of,
The streets were pretty empty. There weren't that many people on the street. So.
Yeah. And he says, he looks around to make sure I'm not, an assassin or something. And we just started talking, and, I started, at first I said, that this must be a difficult moment for you. I said, what did I say exactly?
It must be a difficult moment to find yourself in the middle of America's national debate.
So I stayed on this.
Yeah.
And he said, you got that right. And I said, yeah, you must feel like you're, in an industrial washing machine at high speed. Yeah. And I said, well, I just want you to know that America's hopes and prayers are living with you, and we hope you'll do the right thing. And he says, the truth will set me free. And I said, that's right. The truth will set you free.
Yeah, I got to say that was probably the most surprising thing about your story was that Michael Cohen was trying to quote Zen Buddhism.
Yeah, it was very surprising on the spot as well.
It was. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe what they're saying.
Yeah, then I said, you have an amazing position to help this country get out of its national debacle. And he said, the farther I walk away from the truth, or the farther you walk away from the truth, the more people call you a liar. And I said, well, the farther you walk away from the truth, the more you are a liar. And he said, touche.
It was amazing.
That's brilliant.
I just said, good luck to you. Have a wonderful evening, and see you later.
Did you kind of get the feeling that he's trying to flip the narrative and be more of a a hero than a villain in this story? Like maybe he
seemed like he was very open to being open, and like that he would have been happy to talk further. It wasn't like
we could have talked all night.
Just humoring us and.
Well, you guys have Hillary, David. I've been very good to have you on. David, you're a New York musician. Where can folks find you?
Go see Moulin Rouge, and you can hear my insanely corny song.
You wrote a song for Moulin Rouge?
I wrote the song, the only original tune in the movie.
Which one?
It's called "Come With Me."
Oh my God! I didn't know that. Well, nice.
No, I'm a distinguished schmuck.
Well, that's good to know. Good to know. All right, you guys. Well, hey, I really appreciate your time. This is a fascinating story, and I'm glad that you had a chance to talk.
Well, I will say this. I would like to say this. I would like to say that I felt that he was sincere. I think he's going through a kind of psychological, spiritual moment. I myself have experienced being under the spell of charismatic psychopaths, and I know how quickly it can change when when you get on the other side of that.
When you're staring down the barrel of a 5-year prison sentence, yeah?
Well, yeah, that at minimum, and the ruin of your family, all for the sake of this, mind-bogglingly selfish individual, and or you could be a national hero, and people would forgive you your sins and call you a picturesque character from the underworld who found the light somehow, and go on the lecture circuit and do perfectly well and be out of the mob and not be shot at everywhere. People throw tomatoes at you everywhere you go,
David, it's so funny you mentioned that because we did a bonus episode this week in where I say it would be so easy for him to go from villain to hero just by changing his narrative,
right,
and cooperating.
Exactly.
Of course, a lot of our listeners are like, no, F that guy, he'll never be a hero, he's a POS. And I'm like, yes, but for him, what's the better alternative? Just like you said.
Yeah, I mean, whether he's sincere or not, but I happen to believe he is sincere. I think, Hillary doesn't agree with me. I think the older woman that was with us was his mom. Maybe I'm just that way. But Hillary does not.
I don't know.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for your time. And
okay.
I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Also this week, BuzzFeed published the reconstructed shredded documents that were seized in the Cohen raid. Keep in mind that they're the ones who published the dossier. BuzzFeed were the first to publish the dossier.
Yeah.
And that leads me to believe that these probably were leaked by Cohen's team, these reconstructed documents. Also kind of a look what I got scenario. Either call for help from Trump, or please
whichever comes
look what I got.
first.
Right. Let's make a deal. And that's because the only people who had these shredded documents were Cohen's legal team, Trump's legal team. So,
And why would Trump give it up, you know?
Exactly.
I wonder how they pick which news. Well, how does the leaking process work, you know?
You just contact your journalists, friends.
Stick it in a
Do you
mailbox.
think since BuzzFeed had leaked that story before the dossier, maybe they're like, these are good leakers.
Either that or Michael Cohen leaked that dossier
Right.
to BuzzFeed.
Damn.
You know, and he
just loves clickbait.
Some
He's
people
just a big
say some people say he might have been cooperating since before the raid.
That's right. Yeah.
Anyway, there's let's see. This Monday too, in more Cohen news, the Special Master Barbara Jones released her report. We've already heard some preliminary findings. 1.3 million documents have been given to the prosecutors. 23,000 documents were given to Trump and his legal team to review, and he had until July 5th to finish and file any objections. And those had to be filed publicly, and I hadn't heard anything, so I don't know if he had any or if he asked for more time and got an extension. I'd have to look into that. I also wanted to remind you all of something we discussed in a past episode about why the Cohen case was handed off to New York and not kept in-house. I think that Cohen may have the most evidence of Russian collusion. Remember, he has an entire chunk of the Steele dossier dedicated just to him, and his alleged trip to Prague in 2016, where he met allegedly with folks to make plausibly deniable cash payments to foreign social media sources on behalf of the Trump campaign. So Cohen, having all that intel, made the proper seizure of it all very important to Mueller, meaning all that documentation on the slush fund payments to Russians and the UAE to do the social media campaigns on behalf of Trump. Cohen has all of that, so it was very important that Mueller obtained those documents and those evidence properly. And had Mueller ordered the raid and procured the evidence himself, it could have been seen as ill-gotten or part of the witch hunt that Trump is trying to create in the minds of his base, right? It would give Trump ammo to be like, he did it, Mueller's corrupt, and he got the evidence.
Right. We were all confused when it happened.
Can't, it's not fair, it's wrong. And because we think we're going down the impeachment route, the court of public opinion is very important.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, by handing the case off to the U.S. attorney in New York, they ordered the raid. New York ordered the raid. They seized the evidence. They appointed the special master, and I'm sure there was an additional taint team involved. So the validity of all that evidence, it's squeaky clean evidence now. And Mueller knows he'll get anything back that's associated to Russia. I referred to it as evidence laundering, and I think it will serve the investigation well. It robs the right of any message that the evidence was tainted or somehow obtained illegally. I think it was a genius move, and I'll bet that we learn later on that it was intentional. Of course, the main reason it was handed off is because Cohen lives in New York, and I assume the Department of Justice didn't want any hint of inappropriateness. So when they hand off the Stormy Daniels payment and the medallion stallion stuff, the taxi cab medallion case, it could be argued by Republicans that Mueller was out of his scope, even though he wasn't at all. Anything that comes up is in his scope.
Yeah, squeaky clean is a good way to describe it.
Mm-hmm. So he's hands off this. The evidence was gathered. Anything that's Russia will be handed right back to him.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Smooth.
Yeah.
Clean.
That's delegating.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get better at that. Teach me your ways, Mueller. You also need to remember that all the other evidence Cohen could possibly have. There are stories about all kinds of tapes now and compromat that the Russians might have on Trump, maybe involving underage girls. The Cohen evidence is unrelated to Russia. The Cohen evidence unrelated to Russia may be the undoing of Trump.
Put some beans on it.
And if you want some more discussion on the Trump underage tapes, sex parties with Epstein tapes, listen to the full Scott Dworkin interview. It's going to be a bonus episode this week. We go into that a little bit in there. So anyway, guys, we'll be right back. Hey, Mueller Junkies. Thank you so much for supporting our show and supporting women in podcasting. I need to ask you for a quick favor that will not cost you a dime. Please head over to Apple Podcasts and give us a rating, and then subscribe. That simple act goes a long way to helping us get the word out about the Mueller investigation, and more importantly, it expands our efforts to flip Congress blue in November. And don't forget, follow us on Twitter at MuellerSheWrote to be automatically entered to win a PlayStation 4. Don't ask. Thank you so much for listening. We would not be here without you. All right, are you guys ready for the Fantasy Indictment League?
Yes.
All right, today I'd like to add Aaron Banks to the Fantasy Indictment League. He wasn't on our radar before. Perhaps even Nigel Farage of UKIP. And then we need to bump Cock up on the list.
Okay.
Cock needs a better position because I think we're going to start getting some indictments on that guy as well for that because of the Manafort case in the reveal in the minute order that they're going to be prosecuting him for the $16 million loan he made to get a job at the White House from Manafort. Yeah, that's against the law. And I think we're going to start seeing more indictments this month and next. I think this shit's going to start hitting the fan here pretty soon. So keep listening, get caught up. To get all the players and all the different little tendrils of this investigation that we've been covering. Keep listening. We'll keep you in the know when these indictments drop and where they come from and all that other stuff.
Can I add a name to the, or potential names?
Absolutely.
The dark money donor names that we will find out with the NRA.
I wonder if you can indict shell companies, at least probably the owners of the shell companies.
Exactly, yeah, that's
the
usually how it works.
registrants.
Yeah.
Right.
It'd be nice if Citizens United worked reversely. Like, you could charge an entire
corporations
company.
are people.
Corporation.
Yeah. Well, we've indicted a few entities already in this. I'm over there. I'm working for Mueller.
AG. Yeah.
I'm the AG. I'm not. Anyway, Aaron Banks, definitely keep listening. We're going to keep you. Seriously, the indictments are going to start coming out pretty fast and furious in the next month or two. Now, we had the wonderful opportunity to speak to a friend of mine, friend of you guys, Chris Cope, comedian Chris Cope, to find out who his picks are for the Fantasy Indictment League this week. So let's listen to that. All right, with us today is a good friend of mine and comedian actor Chris Cope. You can see him on Cooking on High on Netflix and Impaired on All Things Comedy. He also works for Tosh.0, and he is the Big Sky Comedy Festival winner in 2015. Chris, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm sweating. If you hear the fan in the background, it's literally because I have pointed. I mean, the only reason I stepped out of my fridge was to take this call.
Well, I appreciate you taking some time away from your refrigerator to join us today.
You got 9 minutes.
I got 9 minutes, roger that. So we'll just get right into it. We like to do what we call our Celebrity Edition, a Fantasy Indictment League, and I wanted to give you a call and find out who your 3 picks would be if you had to pick the next 3 people that would be indicted. And some in the Mueller investigation, obviously. And some people, they like to pick 2 solids and then maybe like a 1 Hail Mary, like a wish. Or sometimes they make 3 sensible picks. So it's really up to you how you want to strategize this. We'd just like to know who you think the next 3 people that are going to be indicted in the Mueller investigation are.
All right. I'm going to go Cohen.
Okay, and do you think is he going to really be indicted in the Mueller investigation, or is he going to be indicted by the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York?
I think that he'll be indicted in New York, but I think that will end up I think once he flips, he will give more, and that will help out Mueller. I think this guy seems to just have the golden key. I mean, if he's the guy you go to when you fuck up,
yeah, he's your.
And he's supposed to take care of stuff. Yeah, when he's that guy, that means that's the guy that can kind of bury you. You know, I guess when you're a scumbag, you got to trust one person. I mean, the funny thing is, anyone he's a snake just like Trump is in that sense of, you need someone to do, when you're not man enough or can't do your own dirty work and you have to hire someone out, you know that guy's going to be a scumbag. And you know you're a scumbag yourself when you put your tie on in the morning. So, why wouldn't you not anticipate Trump's going to just stick it as soon as he can to you?
Yeah, very true. I don't know why you didn't see it coming myself, but good pick. All right, Cohen. We've got him on top of our list as well.
I know, right? I think And correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, was the reason why Mueller, outside of it was at the fact that it was outside of his purview. Didn't he also kick it down to the states level because it allows? Because can a president not pardon state crimes? Is that right?
Well, he hasn't kicked it down to the state level yet with Cohen, but yes, I think he wants to kick a lot of these down to New York State. But right now they're working on adding a caveat to their double jeopardy rule that allows for someone to be prosecuted in New York State, even if they've been prosecuted in the federal courts for the same crime, as long, in the case of a pardon. If there's a pardon, they're going to make a pardon exemption, and they're working that through the New York legislature right now. That's
really,
yeah, that's headed up by the new New York Attorney General who took over for Schneiderman when he had to leave because of the sexual assault and physical assault accusations. So, all right, well, let's go on to pick number 2.
I mean, these are kind of going to go hand in hand just because I would love to see them both just wearing matching bracelets. And I mean, probably everybody. It's Pinhead number 1, which is Jared Kushner.
All right.
And All Ship Smiles, Donald Jr. Those are my favorite. Like, I just want the people closest to Trump to start feeling the fire because I want Trump to start acting completely erratic. You know what I mean? I need to say this, but I kind of want the car to crash in a way.
Even more than he is already?
Oh, for sure. No, I want to somehow make this worse than what Paul Walker went through. Like, I want this just to... That was a mean joke. I take that back. I take that back. That wasn't nice. No, but I mean, I honestly think that, and this is just what I'm judging off like Trump's psyche, is I think the closer you get to his kids and his kids-in-law, he will start just doing some completely erratic and like cross the threshold type stuff where it's like, okay, this guy is literally just trying to take over at this point. You know what I mean? It's like he's just trying to completely bypass any rule of law, and we've got to act. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. So you're going to put Kushner and DT Jr. up there, huh?
I would love. I mean, I'm going to pick 2 fans. Like, those are like deeper polls.
Okay.
Because I know we're supposed to have 1, but I want 2.
Okay, so we're going to do 4, though. That's cool. So you've got Cohen as your safe bet, then DT Jr. and Kushner as your dream team there, and then who else would you choose?
That hasn't already been indicted. Shit, I don't know. I mean,
we can make those your 3 if you want. We could just make those your 3.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go with my 3 just because I'm going to think who else is big enough. Because I feel like they've got enough names and they've got enough people. It's so far like there's not many left in terms of to go after people of substance.
Yeah, I think that my personal, rather than putting, I put Kushner in there too, but rather than DT Jr. quite yet, I think that's going to roll out with all the conspiracy and crimes of collusion indictments they're going to drop maybe in the fall or August. But I think Roger Stone is probably on the block pretty soon.
You think? I mean, it would have to. Well, the fact that I read today that Mueller, some of the bank crimes that Manafort's being charged with actually do tie to the Trump campaign.
Right.
I read that today. So I mean, the fact that Roger Stone was with the campaign, he might be. After honestly, I watched that documentary and it just kind of reiterated and reminded me like what a slimy shitbag he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
like
Roger Stone documentary. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, like he literally brushes his teeth with dog shit every day and smiles. Like he's a sociopath. If you don't think he is, he feels nothing for anybody. So I mean, I would love to see him indicted because I know he would quietly roll like a motherfucker.
Yeah, he would.
That dude would sell out his mom. His 95-year-old mom that I saw him kiss on the forehead. Nah, I think he'd sell him out.
I think so too. I think you're right.
Yeah, no, I would love to see that stone unturned. He gets it in.
All right, well, hey, I really appreciate you coming on, sharing your picks with us. Again, you guys, if you haven't seen Cooking on High on Netflix, you have to check it out. Thanks for joining us, Chris Cope. You can follow him at Chris Cope Comedy on Twitter.
Yeah, let's get this done, guys. Let's get on. And also make sure you're my folks. If that's not reiterated every episode, please vote. We need change.
Yeah, we definitely pound that one home too. So actually, yep, get out there and vote. Flip it in November. We got to, reopen the Russia investigation in Congress and start getting some of this stuff made public. I appreciate your time today, Chris.
Absolutely. Dude, thank you. I'll talk to you guys later.
Hey, yeah, have a good week.
Dude, bye.
Bye. All right, you guys ready for sabotage?
Woo. Yes.
All right, this week, Giuliani reared its ugly head again. After being quiet for like a couple weeks. It was nice, right? I didn't have to hear him every
or
day
see his face
on Fox News. Mike Schmidt and Maggie Haberman wrote up a thing in the New York Times about the Trump team's new combative stance against the Mueller investigation. Apparently, Trump has new conditions for an interview with Mueller. He's just dragging this out, man. He's just dragging it out. He's hurry, finish this the hell up. But you're the one who's fucking dragging it out. Yep. So stop being a bitch. Let's see. His first condition, Mueller would have to prove that Trump committed a crime by providing evidence prior to the interview. That's just a way to get evidence prior to the interview. Mm-hmm. And that Trump's testimony, the other thing is that Trump's testimony is essential to completing the investigation. It has to be proven that they can't get this any other way besides talking to Trump. Giuliani ceded that Mueller probably won't agree to those terms, and I'm sure he won't. You're not going to hand over evidence in an ongoing investigation to the subject of the investigation. Right. God, would have done that.
Trump's like, seriously. Like, yeah, I need you to do a sole source verification. Yeah. Verify I'm the only one that can give you the testimony.
What if he thinks he can do like an executive privilege just to get I guess he couldn't he? To do all these crazy things.
No, he can't have it.
Good.
Giuliani and House Trump know that when Dems take over in November, they're going to probably move to impeach Trump. And that explains this combative stance and the all-out assault on the media and the Mueller investigation. So to sway public opinion, as I mentioned before, that's their only go-to. And it's working. 40-something% of people, 49%, don't think the Mueller investigation is going anywhere and should finish. That's up 18 points from April. And it's working. This assault on the public opinion from Trump, Giuliani, Congress, people like Jim Jordan, Devin Nunes, although we haven't really heard from Devin Nunes in a while.
Yeah.
Anyway, he knows they're going to move to impeach him when they take over, so they're trying to get the public on their side to say, no, don't impeach him, you're wrong.
Exactly. I'm afraid of what's going to happen if we do impeach him regardless.
Well, I don't think Pence will be around anymore either, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But personally, I think Mueller should shove a subpoena up his ass, really. I think he should do it Monday and kill his SCOTUS nomination, because it's going to be tough, like I said, for Trump to pick a judge with a subpoena in the mix, especially for a court that's likely going to have to decide whether or not he has to comply with it. So come on, Monday. Yeah. Subpoena the man, because
shove
you got
subpoena up his ass.
You got the subpoena.
You've been served.
Smash. You've been served. You do it. Just subpoena him.
Yeah.
Giuliani has already pretty much said, we're not going to sit down and talk to you. You're going to have to give us all the evidence in the case first, or prove that he committed a crime before trial even happens. And that's just not going to fucking happen. So you know that this is just a drag out signal. So Monday morning, come on. Let's do it. Let's
Mueller
subpoena
Monday.
this guy. Let's do it on Monday. That's what I'm hoping for.
Nice.
Anyway, that's sabotage. All right, you guys, it is time for our Q&A segment.
Ooh.
We got some good questions this week. At MLynKC wants to know, do y'all think the Broidy news is significant in any way?
Yeah, I'm hoping so, at least. I think it's significant since it's an update on something we've covered. We're getting more information, which is, it's an interesting development. But we were just saying we don't know what difference it's gonna make. It could go two ways, it seems, right? He could either be telling the truth and we're gonna find out, which I don't know if anyone will care at that point, or we find out that it's Trump's kid and then we all care for different reasons. I don't think it'll make a difference politically, right?
It could. Right now he's losing a lot of suburban moms.
Oh.
Because of his treatment of asylees at the border, mostly. Mm-hmm. But if it came out that he also paid for an abortion, these are generally God-fearing, salt-of-the-earth people.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Who, if it would be politically bad, in that in that demographic. White men, no, they won't give a crap.
Right. But it's not about them anymore. At least not all of them.
I should say straight cis white men.
Yeah.
But,
You're right. Yeah, there's more opinions out there. I dig it.
Yeah, I do think it's important, though. At Hook Magic, Dustin Jones says, wouldn't it make sense for Mueller to subpoena Trump now? Wouldn't that initiate a court battle to which you could make a legit argument that he can't name a SCOTUS justice for his own case? Am I crazy?
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Yeah, no, you got it, buddy. I agree with you 100%. I think you should do it Monday before he take all that. You know how he's been piping up I'm going to make the SCOTUS announcement Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern, and he's told all of his people, don't fucking leak it. Don't you leak it. I want to make the announcement. I want the glory. Jeez. And so I would love to just take that wind out of his sails by throwing a subpoena up at him on Monday morning. Be like, I'm sorry, we're going to announce something tonight.
And then aside from that, just it's time, right? It's just time, I think.
I don't know.
I guess Mueller's the only one that would know for sure.
Yeah, unless he stands to gain something by this being prolonged, I imagine he will do it really soon.
Yeah.
I think that this final... they've been negotiating for months now to get Trump in. That means the investigation's pretty much done. They just need to talk to him to get his state of mind when he fired Comey and if he knew about the Trump Tower meeting. Specifically, those are the big ones, I think. But they're just signaling, drawing it out, dragging their feet. And this last thing with these conditions of having to have evidence of a crime first, I think it's over. Just subpoena him.
Yeah. And I think, too, it's important for Mueller and his team to do their due diligence to work with the president on an interview. And now it's so many times they have tried to work with him. And
I think they have enough.
Exactly.
Yeah. And, of course, I do have to say, I don't know shit about shit with what Mueller has and what Mueller needs to do.
It's an iceberg, you know.
Yes. Again, we know the top 1/10 of 1% of what's happening.
Yes.
In this investigation. That's my Bernie Sanders. I'm sorry.
That's pretty good.
But yeah, again, there could be a million things I don't know. Just from what I see, this is how I feel.
That's crazy that this is enough and Mueller knows more. And we think this is time. I mean, we're not experts.
We don't know anything.
Legally either, but still.
No, we don't know. We don't know.
Public opinion wise.
Yeah. The more we know, the more we don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. And how telling is that, too, that he's like, I want to see all the evidence against me. Before I go into this, before he was, just going with the narrative that he wasn't under investigation.
Or at least proof that he committed a crime is how he put it.
Right.
I need proof I committed a crime. So he can still kind of keep that stance of that he didn't do it.
Yeah.
At Marissa Gabrielle asked for an update on Nastya Rybka.
Oh, yeah.
So...
Sorry?
I was going to see if you could look it up.
Absolutely.
But
if
I was
occasionally
just
check in.
I was just going to give a background on her real quick. She is the Russian sex worker, sex coach, who was on the yacht with Deripaska and the Prime Minister of Russia when Deripaska was downloading what he got from Kilimnik, and the Kilimnik talk that he had with Manafort when Manafort promised to give Deripaska these updates on the Trump campaign. So she got video of that. Navalny, who was Putin's opponent in this last election, released it. Navalny's been jailed, and then Nastya Rybka was jailed. They caught up with her in Thailand and put her in a Thai prison, and that was pretty much the last we'd heard.
Yeah, the latest piece of news I can see is from April 17th. Headline, sex worker who claims dirt on Russian oligarch appears in court, and I haven't, nothing after that.
Yeah, I think she was sentenced to 6 years or something.
Wow.
And we haven't heard anything back about that.
Oh,
so I don't know if she's been deported to Russia. I don't know if she's alive. I don't know if Mueller has her in a safe house. I don't know. I have no idea. Unfortunately, we just haven't heard anything.
Yeah, that is
really
crazy. Yeah, maximum 10-year sentence. They're thinking around
for
7.
visa issues. That was what they ended up charging her on.
I think so.
That's a good question.
She was working past her visa.
Exactly what they got her.
She was sex coaching past her visa.
I mean, when they want to target you, they'll get you for whatever they can. You know,
of course. Yeah, absolutely. Russian bot 453127758 at Jen of Snarf asked what Cohen's papers say. Are they just dinner receipts or a stack of love letters to Putin? As I alluded to earlier, I'm pretty sure that there's tapes in there of him talking to Trump. As Avenatti has told us, he's heard one of them. I think that a lot of the BuzzFeed got a lot of the reconstructed documents. You can go check them out on their website. And then I think a lot of it is a lot of his business dealings with the tax cab shit, obviously. But there's going to be his slush fund documents in there, and what payments he made to whom, and his travel information is going to be in his phones. And they're going to be able to find out where he was, who he talked to, who he gave money to, and who he took money from. And that is going to be really, really important. And I think that that's why he's just, this whole big flip thing is such a big deal.
I think transactions like show patterns, right? That's what they can look for at the very least, to see what his patterns are and like tie that with like a behavior or motive. They did that with the like paying off the porn stars. They were like, oh, these are patterns. Like, that's how you get like, I guess, a social or moral issue to become a legal issue or a political one. Smart.
Yeah, or just direct fucking evidence that they paid Russia to.
If we're lucky, yeah.
for the you know,
just like I did it, like confessional.
deniable cash payments. To Russians in the UAE and Israel to you know, interfere in the election.
I wonder if it'll be that easy. You think Mueller's just like, it can't be this easy? Like, it can't.
I think it can. We think about who we're dealing with.
Good point.
Jim Van Ostrand says, all effective dictators have the military in their back pocket. How is Trump's relationship with the military leadership? Do you think they think he's a clown, or would they follow his orders even if he went over the edge? My feeling is the Joint Chiefs think he's an idiot. Kelly, we already know, thinks he's an idiot. Tillerson thinks he's a fucking moron. But Tillerson isn't military. But all these guys just think he's an idiot. And they don't thought, like when he tweeted about banning transgender troops from joining the military, Mattis and the Joint Chiefs are like, get the GTFO, dude. No, we're not doing that. It's going to cost too much money. It doesn't do anything for military readiness. In fact, it hurts us. We've done studies. Shut up.
But do they actually protest like through action, or just because I wonder?
Yes, they do, because we still allow transgender troops in the military.
Oh, okay, good. I was going to say, like, do they do anything like to stop him from, like, if he tried to go to war, like, would they?
We'll see.
Yeah.
They couldn't stop him from talking to North Korea, and that just fell apart today. I don't know if you saw that news.
Because what can they do? They still have an oath to like their position, right?
There's a lot they have done. Like I said, they haven't listened to his tweets about certain things. We're not going to do that. They do their own weird little protesting.
Yeah, they do what they can.
I have a friend who's in the military, and he's thinking about just going into private contracting instead of staying.
Yeah, I have a friend who worked for a private security contractor in the Middle East. You get paid a lot more. You get a lot more. You get better gear.
Yeah, right. Because the budget right now, it's like, especially for the Marines, there's been so many stories of planes literally just them not even making it to their training operations because they're dying on like planes crashing in the middle of America. It's like really crazy.
Yeah, or you're supposed to have these steel plates bolted to the bottom of your Jeeps so that IEDs don't get you, or flak jackets or whatever, and they're short. So
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Isn't it
it's
crazy?
all going to private industry. It's being stolen by the Republicans.
Exactly. It's like so much we think of military funding as, having some of the highest in the world, and then it's that these things
but
still
they
happen.
short them to keep the money.
Exactly.
It's bad.
Damn.
Natalie Nope asked if McConnell or his wife's family is benefiting directly from Trump's tariffs, and how one could find out if they're invested in Trump or Kushner properties. I don't know. I haven't heard anything along these lines. I can pretty much guarantee you that anybody who's worth over $1 million is benefiting from these tariffs, especially if they're in steel or aluminum. It's the consumers that suffer from trade tariffs. So it's definitely not the rich. Otherwise, he wouldn't be doing it. He's benefiting from it as well. And as far as invested in Trump or Kushner properties, I suppose that's something that once we flip to Congress and Maxine Waters is in charge of fiscal oversight, she can subpoena his bank records and find out.
Is that your fantasy, or you think it's actually going to happen?
I think we'll flip to Congress.
Like, you think she'll be in charge of that? Is that
she automatically becomes in charge of it.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
That's going to be a nice...
It'll be fun. She can get Trump's taxes, too. It'd be great.
Wow.
Although I'm sure Mueller already hasn't, but then we can see him.
Exactly.
You guys, it's so important to vote this November. We can get all the information we need. We can take over the Russia investigation.
Yeah.
We can fucking fix this shit. We can get all the corruption. At Reading Kendra asked, what happened to the 30-plus high-ranking officials and staff members? We haven't heard a tweet or a peep from people like Hope Hicks. Where are they? Could be gagged. Could be cooperating. That would be my guess. Could be smart, where usually your lawyers will tell you, just don't talk about this investigation and don't tweet about it, and they are listening, whereas Trump does not. So you might be having taking your cues from how Trump acts. Don't, because he breaks all the rules.
Exactly.
Kimberly Phillips wanted us to explain why the Mueller investigation is so important to our democracy beyond Trump being a bad hombre. Well, there's so much I could say about why the why this investigation is so important to our democracy. First of all, it's a massive test of our rule of law and our checks and balances and our judicial system in the country. If you try to think about why Watergate was important, that the concept that nobody is above the law, going all the way back to Robert Jackson, who I think is Rod Rosenstein's hero and one of Comey's heroes too, is that no one is above the law. And if we allow that to happen, we slide into dictatorship pretty fast from there. That's why that's the main reason. This is so hugely important that we respect and maintain the rule of law in this country, and that it works. Because if it doesn't, we're lost, I think.
Yeah.
Well said, yeah.
Yeah, I think also this is a moment where the intelligence community has been attacked and undermined constantly, and for them to be resilient and to reestablish, quote unquote, their legitimacy with the American people is so important for the foundation of our democracy.
To we fill the reservoir of trust.
Yes, exactly.
We must refill the reservoir of trust.
Exactly.
Thank you. That's based on a mistake from a past episode. You're welcome. At the Deep Magic wants to know if we're going to have any kind of meetup at Comic-Con. I'm working on it. I think we're getting press passes, and I'm going to try to do some stuff. Like I might set up the gear in a hotel room and just have rotating folks coming through. I don't know. We might go on the floor and interview people. I don't know. It's interesting and odd to me that Mueller is pop culture.
Yeah.
It's just true. And is it Comic-Con pop culture, though?
No.
I don't know. I don't know.
We're the other category, but I've seen him there.
I don't know. So I'm trying to figure out a way to make this work, because Comic-Con's been something that I've been going to for years. I love the organization. I think that they're one of the most great, awesome philanthropic groups of people in the world, and I love it when my downtown is taken over by Comic-Con, because
it's beautiful.
It's so fun.
All the bro dudes get the fuck out and leave, and they're all like, we're not gonna
The gas lamp is taken over by nerds, and I am so much more comfortable around them. I was gonna say, the episode you had with making Star Wars, so we could do something with Star Wars fans. We could do something like about Mueller being a Jedi.
The rebellion.
Yeah, seeing what superheroes think of the investigation.
Well, I definitely want to see about getting Jason and Amanda back on the show.
Yeah.
And I've been lobbying Patton Oswalt pretty hard.
Oh, snap.
We know his feelings on this administration and in general, and I know he goes to Comic-Con every year. I've seen his show every year at Comic-Con. But I'm Patton, if you're listening, you should come be on the pod. That's what I'm saying. We would love to have your voice is one of the most important voices in this investigation in this political age. I think and maybe it's just because I'm biased because I am a comedian, but I think comedians are the saviors of our free speech.
Yeah,
and the protectors of it. And I think that your voice is one of those that's very important to it. So, guys, you get any?
Yeah, I hope that someone dresses up as an epic Robert Mueller.
That's
what I'm hoping.
Mueller cosplay?
Yes.
Oh, we should be Mueller's angels. Ooh. We got to do something.
Oh, my goodness. We'll see. At Clint Jenkins 85 wants to know what it would take for Trump to lose hardcore supporters. We get this question all the time. If all the compromat Trump tapes come out, would he lose supporters? He says, I'm not sure Mueller is enough. I think if there were a tape of Trump having sexual relations with an underage girl, I think he would lose. I think that would be the end of it. I think he'd lose maybe 20 to 30% of his women supporters if it came out that he did pay for that abortion.
Yeah.
Other than that, like you said, he could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and it wouldn't matter.
Right.
I wonder, I'm sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say that I wonder if I even agree with that, just because I feel like I want to believe that, but also they've pushed us so far from where we started, from what our standards were of what he can get away with, that I think it's just wishful thinking. I feel like we almost don't even need to lose his base, right? It's like, yeah, we could fantasize about it, but we don't need to lose them.
If the rest of us would just vote.
Yeah, we just need to vote and we need to impeach him, and I think that's it.
Yeah.
They can still exist. We can coexist with maggots and like whatever.
I do think kid fucking is a line, though.
I do think
and
it's a line.
That is how a Democrat won a seat
Exactly.
in Alabama.
I was going to say, that's the whole thing that makes me wonder if it would even matter to the base, because they almost voted for that guy.
Yeah, but they lost.
They lost, but it was too close for me.
But for a Democrat, too close is a win in that in that area.
Yeah, he's like a millennial, no less.
A millennial, Connor Lamb, right?
Yeah. And I think too, it's also in that the people that voted for Roy Moore still after that came out. I was listening to interviews with them, and their reason for it was Roy Moore's stance on abortion. So if it comes out at all
that he paid for an abortion,
right,
it comes
you lose
full
that.
circle.
I do think abortion, any of the hardline Bible Belt
but you know what,
issues,
though? I bet they
basically.
could pivot and say, well, she should have kept her legs closed. She's the whore. It's her fault. She trapped him.
Yeah,
blaming all that stuff.
We'll see how shitty people really are, I guess, if that comes out.
Well, we have.
Yeah, we have, and it could keep going. But I do think there's a couple of lines. I think that's it. So.
Yeah, for some.
Yes, and not for all. There still will be people who hang on to him.
Yeah, just prepare to lose faith in humanity.
I would think, too, that like if it comes out publicly that he did collude with Russia and there was conspiracy, that just all the nationalists, they would have to not be okay with that. Or that undermines...
I don't think they'll believe it. I think that they're already on the narrative that Mueller's corrupt.
Yeah, and that's
and the
enough
FBI
for
is
them.
corrupt and they were biased. And
Yeah, for sure.
But
That's
you're right.
definitely a
I agree
possibility,
with you,
which
Jordan.
is shitty. Yeah.
I wish everyone agreed with us. That'd be an interesting world.
You would think that no veteran would support, or no active duty member would support Trump after what he said about POWs, what he did to the Gold Star family, that he's a 5-time draft dodger, that he insulted McCain again, dying John McCain this week, that Mueller is a war hero and he's picked on him. You would think no veterans would support him, but they do.
Yeah, I mean, in this country, we're very unique people. Everyone is their own little snowflake in good and bad ways, and it sucks.
No,
but
we're a virus. We're all the same. We're not special.
That's one way to look at it.
We're not
Yeah,
special.
yeah.
It's fine. It's
true.
We're special, you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone can be president.
I once heard a theory that global warming is actually just the Earth inflicting its own fever against all of us.
Yeah, there's an old George Carlin theme that we're a virus, we've invaded the planet.
Yeah.
And if you were the planet, how would you get rid of a virus? Well, they seem to be
Sweating it out.
They seem to be susceptible to viruses. Maybe if we made a virus that made them reluctant to procreate. And so AIDS was the way that the Earth was healing itself.
Oh.
Right. I imagine.
So
that's an
it
old
wasn't
George Carlin
Reagan.
bit.
Yeah.
It was totally Reagan.
Oh, man. That is crazy. I mean, I love these, scientific conspiracy theories. They're interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah, I
It's
think
not
it's more
anything like that.
bits.
But
yeah,
or what did you say? Fever, climate change.
Yeah, more like philosophical and environmental philosophy
You're
kind
right.
of thing.
Yeah,
just
for
the
sure.
notion
It's
of
very
it
nihilistic.
correcting itself.
Is
Yeah,
it?
It's very cynical and very nihilistic. Yeah, that's
absolutely.
hashtag No Lives Matter. Julie says what that
yes,
is.
it is. Yeah.
I think it's hashtag Earth Matters.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
That's like the let famine happen people.
Yeah, right? Jesus Christ.
I'm not saying I want to be here for it.
I'm pro-choice, but come on. All right, at Big Politics Nerd wants to know who we think Trump will be most surprised to learn has been secretly cooperating all along.
Barron.
She's saying Sessions or Bannon. You know who I think.
Cohen?
Cohen?
Nope. Who's the mole, you guys?
Oh, Priebus.
Priebus.
You think
Yeah.
he'd be surprised?
I think he'd be
He
totally
listens to Mueller,
surprised.
She Wrote, though.
Well, yeah.
You know Trump late at night listens and he just hates himself. No.
He's
That'd
drinking
be
his
crazy.
Diet Coke.
No one would let him listen to Mueller,
We
She
haven't
Wrote.
seen any tweets about Mueller, She Wrote, so
No,
he can't be listening to
You know
us.
he would, yeah. We're not that cool yet.
At Eve is a Pisces wants to know when we're going to be on Pod Save America. I don't know. Hopefully someday. That would be my dream come true, or love it or leave it.
Any of it. Hysteria.
I know. I forgot to ask Dan while I was talking to him. I should have done that. Oh, well. Maybe someday.
Yeah, definitely someday.
That'd be great.
But
I
we
love
were
them
in
guys.
the just like immense appreciation that he was on our pod phase.
Yeah.
That's where I'm
So
at right now.
yeah.
It's
Still
just
stuck on that high.
I can't believe he came. That's so cool that he came on and that he, says that it's podcasts like Pod Save America, Love It or Leave It, Mueller, She Wrote that are gonna be huge.
That made my heart melt.
In
Yeah.
2020. I know. I'm so excited. It's so nice. That's a great podcast, and all those guys are super great dudes. So check them out if you haven't. Listen to Pod Save America, Pod Save the World, Love It or Leave It. They're all really great. They're all former Obama advisors. Love It was his joke writer for the correspondence dinners.
It's amazing.
He's so funny. Jessica Lee Harper says, quote, in regards to the scope of Mueller's investigation, what legal charges is Trump facing at this point, assuming he's indicted? I don't think he's going to be indicted. I think he'll be subpoenaed, and I think he'll lose, and then I think a report will be written up. But I'm not sure he'll be indicted until after he leaves. But he could be facing crimes of collusion. He could be facing conspiracy, bank fraud, tax fraud, lying.
Everything Paul had, right?
Everything Manafort is facing. Whatever crimes of collusion looks like. It's what the DOJ called it. So I'm just going with their language. And then probably assault. I think there's going to be proof.
Assault on American values?
Assault on underage women.
Oh, geez, that would be the one to really shock. I think it would shake the world. It wouldn't shock the world, but it would, like, even in the people that would still support him, it would truly show their colors in a way that, like, if people are this, like, weird now about Trump supporters, I wonder how much worse it can get. Like, how uglier people can seem, you know, like the things they can put up with.
The longer they support Trump, the uglier they get.
Yeah, and how we put up with that. Like, at what point, because it's already getting really tense. We're not letting people eat. You know, we're like shooing them out of restaurants. This is kind of like the boycott era.
But that's okay.
It is okay. I'm for it. But I'm just wondering, like, I don't want to be a pessimist and assume that, you know, we're joking about civil war, but, like, would it be political?
There's not enough of them.
There's not enough of them to win. And then also, I don't think we're violent of a political body. Like you mentioned, you joked in the live show, a civility war. Yeah. It'll be like a real big shouting match.
No, and I think that's one of the things that, and I know that Scott Dworkin was talking about how when that woman, the teacher, went up to Pruitt in the restaurant with her kid on her hip and said, look, this is what I think, and my kid likes clean air, my kid likes clean water, and I think you should resign immediately. It's disgraceful what you're doing. You're supposed to be protecting the environment. That's why it's called the Environmental Protection Agency. She was very professional, very polite.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And that's how we do things, right? And I loved what Okumo said after she climbed the Statue of Liberty. She said, Michelle Obama said, if they go low, we go high. Well, I went as high as I could go. I thought that was a really great line.
Incredible. Yeah, this is this kind of stuff that I'm down with. If you want to call it a war on values, like, yeah, this is the kind of, like,
peaceful protest.
Yeah.
And she was Congolese. She was from the area close to some of the countries that Trump called shithole countries.
Yeah.
So
it's a movement.
It is. Yeah. And I think that this peaceful, like Obama said, Dan Pfeiffer had said, this wave of young people is going to wash this country clean, and we're going to move forward into this great new era.
Yeah, I don't think guns will win. I think people say sometimes, like, oh, but we don't know how to shoot and all that, or whatever.
I got a 22.
Right, some of us can shoot, but you know how.
And in the apocalypse, the 22 is going to be the most available ammunition, along with 9mm. So make sure you don't have a 40 caliber.
I have faith it won't come to that, but I guess I don't know.
It won't come to that.
Yeah. Walking Dead.
At SoulStealer25 asked if we think Mueller is waiting for the perfect time to indict Trump and how much longer we think the investigation will continue. I do not think he's going to indict Trump. I think that he'll ask maybe and get the no, and then write up a full report to the Gang of Eight so we can have all the information. That's how I truly think it's going to go down. He might also make impeachment recommendations via report to Congress that might not be made public based on some other evidence he has. How long do I think the investigation will continue? Well, if we flip the Congress in November, we're going to reopen the Russia investigation starting in January. So at least another 2 years. And then everything that's been this investigation, the scope of this investigation, the depth of it is so much bigger than Watergate.
Yeah, just reflecting on it once it's done.
That it's going to take years to parse out what happened. We're going to be getting information coming out as time goes on. I don't know that I see an end to this anytime within the next 5 years.
No, and the influence it's going to have on day-to-day, politics in the future. It's going to be things worth covering.
Yeah, the residual influence.
Yeah, I don't know if I've decided yet on the indictment.
On whether or not he will be. Yeah. Well, you can't indict a president, right? Or you can if you choose to, but Mueller, his style is not.
You can.
Right. But he likely would just write the report is what you're thinking, right?
Well, I think he'll ask for the indictment because he knows he'll get a no, and that would trigger a report to Congress.
Right.
That's what I think is going to happen.
Okay, but ideally he would want to, just to get it over with, just to get the...
To indict him?
Yeah.
No, there's a DOJ policy that says you can't indict a sitting president. And
Okay.
Mueller is a straight arrow.
So it's just a move.
You can indict a sitting president if the Attorney General, who is recused right now, so the Deputy Attorney General says, go ahead and indict him.
Right.
I'm in charge of these policies at the Department of Defense. Or Department of Justice. I can change this if I want to. I'm the fucking man. I'm the boss.
Yeah.
And we all know he's not afraid to be the boss.
Exactly.
So he can overturn that and let Mueller indict the president. He can do that. But I think it'll probably be more of a ask for indictment, no, trigger report to Congress.
Yes.
Because there's no other mechanism for a report to Congress like that.
Right.
He would be
Right.
forced to do it if he was told no.
What do you think, Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, I think that sounds more likely and more in line with Mueller's behavior and, like you said, him and Rosenstein's dedication to the laws and precedents. So, but part of me just kind of hopes.
Yeah,
Well, they also have
a
a very no one's above the law point of view on life too. So
Yeah.
who knows?
Maybe the urgency will make a difference, but depending on what Trump does between now and then.
Yeah. Also, we'll see if Mueller has a temper of any kind.
I don't think
feel
so.
like-
I
Yeah,
wish.
right? That's
I
good.
don't
Just
think so.
once, lose your
I think
temper.
he's a seething cauldron of bubbling desire beneath the surface, which I think is how Freud described the id.
Oh yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I think he's just probably one of the most even keeled. Doesn't get angry. Doesn't get upset.
Yeah.
Isn't biased at all. People. On the
He is
planet.
human though.
Maybe. At Schmanuel wanted to know how we celebrated the news that Manafort spends 23 hours a day in solitary confinement.
You know, I kept scrolling. I was like, good.
Here's how I celebrate. Every time Trump tweets something ridiculous, I just say, your former campaign manager's in solitary confinement. I just reply to all of his tweets.
Because
with
the
that.
context is bizarre. It really is crazy to think that our current president's former chairman, is currently in solitary confinement. The term is still happening. It's
I encourage you all to just go on to Donald Trump's tweets and just let him know. Just remind him.
Yeah. Never let him forget for a moment.
Your campaign manager is in solitary confinement. Just that should be your response to every tweet. Go do it.
Can you? I mean, we can play the game. Could you imagine if Obama did this with so many things, but this one?
There's so many. Yeah, you're right. El Morena Barbu asks if Mueller proves there was if Mueller proves there was collusion with the campaign, including Agent Orange, what does that mean for the presidency? I'm not sure if you mean the office of the presidency or the guy who's occupying it. It's really bad for him if proof comes out, which I'm sure it will, that there was collusion and that he knew about it. Cohen knows that he knew about the Trump Tower meeting, and that's proof enough right there. And but the office of the presidency itself, I think, has been damaged pretty significantly, and it's going to take a series of great presidents to fix that and restore it to its former glory and the respect it deserves, and things like that.
Yeah, we have to prove this is a fluke to the rest of the world, that it won't happen again for at least a long time, and I can't even promise that to myself.
I can't wait to see what London does
with Brexit?
He's visiting there, and they're going to be floating a 40-foot Trump baby balloon over Parliament for his visit.
I thought it was already happening.
There's going to be
just the promotion.
There's going to be anti-Trump marches. It's going to be great. I'm excited to see.
Yeah, Mueller She Wrote fans, take pictures out there.
Yeah, definitely. And hit us up at Mueller She Wrote on Twitter. I want to see that. Guys, thank you so much for listening. A special thanks to our patrons this week. You make this show possible. And thanks to everyone who came out to our live show July 3rd. You guys are truly amazing. Join us next week. Our guests will be one of my comedic heroes, Greg Proops, and the liberal redneck, Trey Crowder, is going to join us. So I'm
cool.
super excited about that. You guys, I've been AG.
I've been Jaleesa Johnson.
I've been Jordan Coburn.
And this is Mueller, She Wrote. Mueller, She Wrote is produced and engineered by AG with editing and logo design by Jaleesa Johnson. Market consulting by Amanda Reeder at Unicorn Creative. Our digital media director and subscriber managers are Jordan Coburn and Sarah Hirschberger Valencia. Our partners are fastgrass.org and joysteaspoon.com. Fact-checking and research by AG with support from Jaleesa Johnson and Jordan Coburn. Mueller, She Wrote staff includes AG, Jaleesa Johnson, Jordan Coburn, Sarah Hirschberger Valencia, Jesse Egan, and Sarah Lee Steiner. Our web design and branding are by Joelle Reeder with Moxie Design Studios, and our website is MuellerSheWrote.com.